Have you ever pondered about the origins of the world's oldest scriptures, the Vedas? Where and when did they originate? Let's embark on a journey back in time, specifically between 1500 and 500 BCE. This period, known as the Vedic period, is a significant era in the history of the Indian subcontinent. The Vedic period is characterized by the composition of the Vedas, the oldest scriptures known to humanity. These ancient texts, written in Sanskrit, contain hymns, incantations, and rituals from ancient India. They are not merely religious manuscripts, but they also provide a glimpse into the social, political, and economic conditions of the time. The origin of the Vedas is shrouded in mystery, much like the era that produced them. They are believed to have been composed by the Aryans, a group of Indo-European-speaking people who entered the Indian subcontinent around 2000 BCE. The Vedas were transmitted orally for centuries before being written down, preserving the wisdom of a bygone era for future generations. The Vedas are not just one book, but a collection of four: the Rig Veda, the Yajur Veda, the Sama Veda, and the Atharva Veda. Each of these has a unique focus, ranging from hymns to rituals, melodies, and even spells and charms. Together, they form a comprehensive guide to the spiritual and practical life of the time. The Vedic period holds a crucial place in shaping Indian history and culture. The social structure, religious beliefs, political institutions, and economic practices that originated during this period have left an indelible mark on the Indian way of life. The echoes of this era can still be heard in the chants of the Vedas, in the rituals performed in temples, and in the philosophies that guide life in India. The Vedic period, therefore, is not just a historical era. It is a living testament to the enduring wisdom of an ancient culture, a window into the past that continues to illuminate the present. From this era, a significant historical and cultural legacy has been left behind, which we will explore in this video. The Vedic period is divided into two main parts. The first part is the early Vedic or Rigvedic period. But what sets this period apart? The early Vedic period, often referred to as the Rigvedic period, spans from about 1500 BC to 1000 BC. This era is characterized by the composition of the Rig Veda, the oldest of the four Vedas, which are the foundational texts of Hinduism. Now let's dive into the society of this era. The early Vedic society was primarily pastoral. People were semi-nomadic, leading their herds across vast landscapes. Their lives were intertwined with nature, and this connection is vividly depicted in the hymns of the Rig Veda. The society was divided into tribes known as janas, each led by a king or rajan. Customs during this time were simple and reflected the pastoral lifestyle of the people. For instance, the primary form of wealth was cattle, and disputes were often settled by cattle duels. Now that's a sight to behold. Moving on to the political organization, it was relatively rudimentary. The Rajan was the tribal leader, assisted by two assemblies, the Sabha, a select group of elders, and the Samiti, a more general assembly. These institutions were the precursors to the more elaborate political systems of later periods. Religion during the early Vedic period was elemental and naturalistic. The Rig Veda is brimming with hymns to natural forces like Agni, fire, Indra, rain, and Varuna, cosmic order. The people believed in the power of rituals and sacrifices, known as yajnas, to appease these forces and ensure prosperity. The early Vedic period was a time of transition from a semi-nomadic lifestyle to more settled agricultural communities. This change is reflected in the shift from pastoral hymns in the early parts of the Rig Veda to more settled agrarian themes in the later parts. The early Vedic period set the foundation for the later developments in Indian society and culture. And there's so much more to explore, so stay tuned. As we move forward in time, we come across the later Vedic period. How does this period differ from the previous one? The later Vedic period, spanning roughly from 1000 BCE to 500 BCE, brought about significant changes in the life and culture of the Indian subcontinent. The most notable shift was the transition from a nomadic pastoral society to a more settled agrarian one. This change was underpinned by the domestication of rice, which allowed for surplus production and the establishment of permanent settlements. Alongside this agricultural revolution, the later Vedic period saw a shift in social organization. The simple tribal societies of the early Vedic period evolved into more complex, stratified ones. The societal structure hardened into the Varna system, a precursor to the current caste system, with four main categories: the Brahmins, or priests, the Kshatriyas, or warriors, the Vaishyas, or traders, and the Shudras, or laborers. Religion also underwent significant changes during this period. The nature-based, ritualistic practices of the early Vedic period gave way to a more philosophical and contemplative approach. This was the time when the Upanishads, texts that delve into questions about the self, reality, and the divine, were composed. These philosophical explorations eventually laid the groundwork for the rise of Buddhism and Jainism in the subsequent centuries. Political organization too saw a shift. From the tribal chieftains of the early Vedic period, we see the emergence of monarchies and small kingdoms. This was also a time of territorial expansion, with the Aryans moving eastwards from the Punjab region, leading to the spread of Vedic culture across the Indian subcontinent. The later Vedic period, thus, was a time of transition and transformation. It saw the birth of new ideas, systems, and philosophies that would shape the course of Indian history. The later Vedic period saw significant changes that have had a lasting impact on Indian society. The Vedic period was not just about religious scriptures, it was also a time of remarkable achievements. What were they? Let's delve into this intriguing era and discover the breakthroughs that shaped the course of history. In the realm of literature, the Vedic period's crowning glory was the creation of the four Vedas: the Rig Veda, the Samaveda, the Yajurveda, and the Atharvaveda. These timeless texts form the bedrock of Indian philosophy and spirituality, with their profound insights into the nature of existence, the cosmos, and the human condition. The development of the Sanskrit language was another monumental achievement of this period. This ancient language, with its sophisticated grammar and rich vocabulary, became the vehicle for expressing complex philosophical and metaphysical ideas. Even today, Sanskrit continues to be a source of fascination for linguists and scholars around the world. But the accomplishments of the Vedic period weren't confined to literature and language. This era also witnessed significant advancements in the fields of science, medicine, and mathematics. The Vedic sages developed the concept of zero, a mathematical idea that revolutionized number systems and paved the way for complex calculations. In medicine, the Vedic period saw the emergence of Ayurveda, one of the world's oldest holistic healing systems. Rooted in the belief that balance in bodily systems leads to health, Ayurveda laid the foundations for many modern medical theories. Moreover, the Vedic people had a keen understanding of astronomy and celestial phenomena. They developed elaborate calendars based on the movements of the sun and moon, and their astronomical observations continue to be revered for their precision and accuracy. In essence, the Vedic period was a time of intellectual ferment and creative blossoming, where knowledge and wisdom were pursued with passionate intensity. The achievements of this era were not just milestones in the annals of Indian history, but significant contributions to global civilization. These achievements from the Vedic period have left an indelible mark on human civilization. The Vedic period, rich in history and culture, has left behind a legacy that continues to be a part of our lives today. This era, spanning over 1,000 years, was a pivotal point in the history of the Indian subcontinent, setting the stage for much of the culture, philosophy, and science that we see today. The timeline of this era splits into two main parts: the early Vedic or Rigvedic period, followed by the later Vedic period. The early Vedic period, also known as the Rigvedic period, was the dawn of this epoch. It was during this time that the oldest of the four Vedas, the Rigveda, was composed. This period saw the formation of early Vedic society, marked by pastoralism and the establishment of small tribal units known as jhanas. Transitioning from the early to the later Vedic period, we witness a shift in society and culture. This period saw the composition of the remaining three Vedas: the Yajurveda, the Samaveda, and the Atharvaveda. The society became more settled and agrarian, with the organization of people into larger political units. The later Vedic period also marked the beginning of the caste system, a social structure that would deeply influence the subcontinent for centuries to come. The achievements of the Vedic period were monumental. The Vedas, composed during this era, are the oldest scriptures of Hinduism, providing profound insights into philosophy, rituals, and the understanding of the world. the development of the Sanskrit language, the birth of Ayurveda, the system of Indian traditional medicine, and the introduction of the decimal system are just some of the many accomplishments that can be attributed to this era. In conclusion, the Vedic period was a time of significant cultural and societal evolution. Its influence has permeated through centuries, shaping the lives of millions. The echoes of the Vedic era still resonate in our lives, shaping our culture, traditions, and beliefs, reminding us of a time that was foundational to the world as we know it today.